So we're solving for the hypotenuse in the right triangle. I assume that's something you've seen before, or so I'm going to send you a link to a reference sheet, and then I'll snip in the reference sheet itself. For the Pythagorean theorem, it's pretty straightforward. It works out really nicely. So this is the chat here. I'll chat this over to you. You can look at that if you want. I'm going to snip it in as we're working on it. So essentially, you square each side.
Okay.
So the reference triangle here is off to the right. I sent you a one-page printout for this, but the relationship is you square what are called the legs. And when you add up those after you square the legs, they should equal the square of the hypotenuse.
Okay.
Okay. So in this problem, we would call A is 7, B is 8, and C is obviously C. So you write A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Like you have to get that down. You have to like roll out of bed and be like, oh yeah, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So A is 7 squared, plus B, 8 squared equals C squared. So order of operations says to square before you add. So that's 49 plus 64 equals C squared. When you add this together, you get 113 equals C squared. And then you take the square root of both sides. So C is equal to the square root of 113. Now this is not a perfect square. And that's why the instructions say, they say on your paper there, it says round to the nearest hundredth, because most of the time you don't get nice numbers when you do this. So do you have a calculator handy, either on your computer or? Okay.
So what do you want me to calculate?
This right here, the square root of 113.
The square root of 13?
113.
So I do 113.
Well, I don't know what kind of calculator you're using, so that's you're gonna have to either tell me which one you're using, or I can help you find.
I'm just using a phone calculator.
Okay, well, I don't recommend that, but the way those generally work is you put the number in first and then you hit the square root button.
Okay, yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think I have that. I don't have another calculator right now.
Okay, so let me send you a link to a scientific calculator that we can use here together. All right, so so let me send you a link to this, and then I'll also share that in the screen. This calculator does everything you'll ever need for your classes here. So let me share screen to that, and we can look at it together. So here, like the more common way to do is you actually put the square root symbol first, and then you put the number in after it. That's what you want to do. And as a student, that's kind of like more intuitive, I think. So if you're seeing my screen, you see that it does equal 10.63. So I sent you the link to that. I would recommend use that during our lesson today.
Okay.
And we'll go back to our workspace here. So the key takeaway from this first problem is that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's what you're going to use over and over and over again in this lesson today.
Okay.
All right, so let's do another one here. Let's do 4. We're gonna do them all, but let's do 4 because it's the most similar to the one that we just did here. Meaning it's basically the same except it has different numbers in it. So this time the orientation of the triangle is different, okay? But the legs are next to the 90-degree angle. So the leg here, this is A, this is B, and this is C. The legs have to be shooting out away from this 90-degree. So the only formula you need here is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And in your problem, A is 18 squared plus B 15 squared equals C squared. Okay. If you've got that calculator handy, we're going to want to square both of these and add. Okay, so 15 squared is 225. 18 squared, I need to look up because I don't know that one. 324. So you're going to want to add those together. Now, in that calculator I sent you, you can actually do the following. You can do the square root symbol, and then underneath it, you can do 324 plus 225, and it will know to add before it takes the square root.
So it's 549.
Yeah, or it's the square root of 549.
Yeah.
Either way, go ahead and give me that to 2 decimal places, please, whenever you get that answer.
Okay. You want me to move it 2 decimal places?
No, I want you to give me the answer to 2 decimal places after you put this into the calculator, whatever calculator
I'm
you
a
want.
little confused what you're saying.
I'm asking you to go back to that link that I sent you and type this in, the square root of 549.
Oh, decimos. I thought you said decimal.
No, Desmos. That calculator is really handy.
Okay, what's the square root thing is wait. So wait, the square root sounds like a check mark, right?
Kind of, yeah. I could check mark with a little dash in the top of it, yeah.
Okay, so check mark 549. 23.4.
43, 2 decimal places.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, so the again, this problem, we have to use the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We have to then substitute the numbers in, then we have to use the square root. And we're going to do that again in this next problem that we're going to look at. Okay. All right, so let me just make up another one here for you to do on your own. So let's say that this side is 3 and this side is 5. What is C? So it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's always true. That's your starting point. A and B are the legs. So it could be that A is 3 and B is 5. That's okay. You can switch them. That's okay. But 3 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared.
925 equals C. How do you get the 9 and the 25?
You square 3 and you square 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
3 times 3, 5 times 5.
And how do you know always when it's 2 on the top of it?
The formula is always a square.
Okay. Yeah.
It's always squared, always times itself.
Yeah, I'm still new. This I know it's like kind of like basic.
No, it's not. That's why we're doing some basic problems here.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so give me C. C is the square root of 34. What is that to 2 decimal places?
Square root of 34 is 5.83.
Yes, 5.83. Okay, so let's do another one here. Let's say I reorient the triangle slightly. Let's say this is 7 and this is 9. Can you find C for me, please?
Seven, C, 9. Okay. A squared plus B squared equals C. Yeah, equals B squared. 7, 9, 2. Wait, no, 7 times 2. It's 14. So you have 17 and 14 and 18, and then you
7 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. Squared means you multiply by itself, 7 times 7.
oh my gosh.
9 squared means 9 times 9.
I don't know why I did 2 times 9. Okay, yeah. So yeah, 7 times 7. 49. And 8 9 times 9. And then how do you go on from, wait, then you do equals C2.
Squared. So you got to say squared because that'll help remind you
C
that it's not
squared.
times 2.
And then where do you go from that?
So you undo a square with the square root. So every time you're going to do a square root at the end, the square root of 130.
And you always do 130.
Well, you do the square root of whatever you add up these numbers to be.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then, yeah, C equals 130. And then you do 11.40.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's do another problem here. We can see we definitely need more practice here with this. What's important to remember is that the type of problem I'm giving you, you're always being given the 2 legs. Okay, so in this problem, it says if P equals 10, that's down here. And if Q equals 8, that's over here. These are the legs. And this formula A squared plus B squared equals C squared, A is a leg and B is a leg. So in this problem, you can really think of Q as being A and P as being B.
Yeah.
So we want you to solve for this missing variable. So it's 8 squared plus 10 squared equals C squared.
Okay. 8 times 8. So you start off first doing 8 times 8, which is 64.
Or you can use the square button in the calculator. That's
Yeah,
okay too.
the square thing, and then you can do 10 times 10, 100 equals C2, and then you add those together, so 164, right?
Yes. And then the last step is to take the square root of that.
64. Okay, so this is pretty simple. Yeah, this is pretty simple. And then 12.80.
Okay. Let's do one more before we move on to another type. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Okay, so give this one a try. I'll stand by if you have any questions.
Okay. It's 22.84.
Okay, that sounds pretty accurate here. Let me just write it down in case you want to look at it later. So all right. So any questions on that before we move on to the other types?
No, that's good. That's
Okay.
pretty
Okay.
cool.
So we're gonna go back to your worksheet and we're gonna do what maybe appears to be the same problem, but it's a small variation on it. So this time they're giving you the hypotenuse and they're giving you a leg, but not the other leg. So this is B, this is A, and this is C, and it's still A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But instead of giving you A and B, they're giving you, in this case, B, which is 5, and C, which is 10.
Yeah.
So just like in the previous problem, though, your first step is to square the numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so you square the numbers, great. This is where it gets a little bit different. You have to then, I'm sorry?
For A?
Well, A, we don't know. We're trying to find A this time. But it's kind of like the other ones where I gave you A, I gave you B, you squared them, and then you added them. Here, you're going to subtract.
So you do 25 times 25 still, right?
No,
No,
you
you subtract.
5 times 5.
25 minus 25. 100 minus 25, 75. A squared equals 75. And then you just do,
You take a square root.
and it's just 8.66.
Sounds right. Let me check here. Yeah. It's really no different.
That one's like simpler though. I feel like.
I could see that. It really isn't any different in the other one. It's just you have to figure out, well, which sides am I being given? Am I given the two legs, or am I given a hypotenuse and a leg?
Yeah.
So again, in this problem here, there A is unknown, B is given, and C is given, but it's still A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But they don't give you A. So you say, all right, well, I don't know A, but I'm figure it out. B is 24 squared and C is 30 squared. So you have to get these numbers. You have to figure out what is 24 squared, what is 30 squared.
So you do 24 subtracting 24.
Not 24. You have to square the numbers.
Oh, 576.
Yes, and then you subtract that.
Then you subtract that, yeah.
Now the number over here has to always be positive. So if it's not positive, you made a mistake. You can, work your way through that thinking. Okay.
I put in the thing and it says 18.
That's true. 324 is 18. Yeah. So
I
sometimes,
with a bunch of numbers.
yeah. So the way I was going to start you is there's what are called Pythagorean triples, which work out perfectly. They're really nice numbers. That's the right way to start this. But your instructor's not choosing to do that. So. All right, so we got 2 more problems to do on this sheet, and then we got a couple more, but let's do the next 2 here. Let me snip in the next one. Okay. All right, so see if you can do this one on your own, please.
Okay. You have 9 squared and
It's 3 squared plus B squared equals 11 squared. You don't want to square the number first and then square it again. It's
oh Okay, so okay, so wait, 3, 0. And then you get 9 and 121, right?
That's right. And then this time you subtract 9 from both
9.
sides.
Yeah.
So b squared equals 112.
12. And then 10.58.
Sounds reasonable. Okay, so one more, and then we can talk about the last section if we want.
Okay.
Yeah, get back to it. Yeah, so here we go. Question 6. Again, see if you can work this out on your own, please.
Squared, 13 squared. Is this backwards? Wait. Oh, never mind. Okay.
The triangle is oriented differently, but it's the same type of problem. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
I was confused.
What did you get for your b?
15.19.
So that does round to 0.20. Just be careful with that if your instructor is difficult, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay, we can do 7, 8, and 9. We can move on to the other side. I don't know how long it'll take.
We can move on to the other side.
All right, so these are these are just formula problems here. Once you know the formula, you will be able to do the problem. Without the formula, they're impossible to do, obviously. So it says a cylinder. The cylinder has a volume of 175 pi inches cubed. So a cylinder is a can. Probably have one in your pantry. There's your can. Okay, and it has a height and it has a radius.
Okay.
Because at the top is a circle.
Mm.
Okay, so it's a sketch and label, a drawing of the cylinder. Okay, great. So the height is 7 inches. Great. And the volume is 175 pi inches cubed. So your instructor is looking for that. Depending on how much, interest there is here, you can make a really nice drawing. The drawing really doesn't matter, but it's good to have some sort of an idea of what you're looking at here.
Mm.
The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times h. And yes, you have to know this unless you think your instructor will give it to you on a test or quiz. So just keep that in mind, pi r squared h. So the volume is 175 pi. That's given.
Yeah.
The radius is not given. That's what we're trying to find.
Okay.
The height though is 7. So all I did was substitute the given numbers.
Okay.
So on the right side, I'm just going to rewrite it slightly. 7 pi r squared equals 175 pi. And we want to solve for r. So to solve for r here, you're going to divide both sides by 7 pi.
Mm-hmm.
On the right, that cancels, leaving just r squared. On the left, the pi's cancel. 175 divided by 7 is 25.
Okay.
If you take a square root of both sides, what does r become?
R becomes 5.
5. And then because this is a word problem, because it's got units in it, you want to get the right units in your answer. The radius is 5 inches.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
No, there's no questions.
Okay. Number 2 is a cone. So let me draw a sketch a cone to remind you what it looks like. So the cone is the party hat. It's the something like that. The bottom is a circle. So the bottom has a radius and it has a height. Like if you could imagine going from that top point all the way down to the bottom, there is a height. The volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. So it's the exact same formula as the cylinder, except for this 1/3 out in front.
Okay.
Okay, now this problem, they tell you the height is 4 centimeters. So this height is 4 centimeters. And they tell you that the radius is 6 centimeters.
Yeah.
Height is 4. So really, if we were to make a really accurate drawing, it's like it's wider than it is tall. Something like that. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the instructor really cares, but that's something to consider here. So in short, h is 4 and r is 6. And we want to find the volume of the cone. The volume is 1/3 pi. R is 6 squared times h, which is 4. So I just substituted those numbers in for r and h.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna square. So that's 36, and then 4. You can do this in any order, but 1/3 of 36 is 12. 12 times 4 is 48. So the volume is 48 pi. And it says to leave your answer in terms of pi. So we've done that, but we need units. We need units here. So in this case, the information was given in centimeters. So it's centimeters cubed for the volume.
Okay.
All right, we're going to do question 4 next because it's a cone,
Okay.
and then we'll come back to do 3. This topic comes about again in geometry towards the end of the class. So you must be just doing a little preview of that.
Okay.
Okay, so a cone has a volume of 50 pi inches cubed and a radius of 5 inches. So again, we draw the dunce hat or the cone or the party hat or whatever, the cone of shame if you got an animal. Sometimes they have that on there. Your radius is 5. Your volume is 50 pi inches cubed. And there's your height. So do you see that there's a triangle in here?
Yeah, I do see that.
So if you were to make a triangle and you were to rotate it, you get a cone.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do that in art class or other class, and you don't even know you're doing that. That's essentially what's happening here. All right, so your volume is that. So your volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. You got to know that formula. This time you're given the volume of the cone is 50 pi. The radius is 5, so we're going to do 5 squared. The height, though, we don't know the height. We're trying to find the height in this problem, but that's only one variable, so we're in good shape. We can solve for one variable. On the right, we're just going to do a little bit of simplifying. 5 squared is 25. Okay, so it's 25 pi h over 3.
Okay.
just a little rewrite. If anything's unclear, I can go over that again. But our goal here is to solve for h.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that by, I'm going to just switch colors here real quick. We're going to do that by multiplying both sides by 3 to start out, because what that does is it gets rid of that. So you get 150 pi equals 25 pi times h.
Yeah.
And then you divide by 25 pi to undo multiplication by 25 pi. Now on the left, the pi's cancel. 150 over 25, you got to think of like quarters. How many quarters do I need for $1.50? Well, that's 6.
Yeah.
And then you got to get your units here. It's 6 inches. Okay, moving on to question 3.
Okay.
Okay, a hemisphere has a radius of 2 meters. So a sphere, the Earth is spherical roughly. It's like taking a circle and then you rotate it in any direction, 360 degrees. That's a sphere. We see these all over in nature, fruit, the moon, I don't know, sports, lots of balls in the world. A hemisphere, though, is just the top half. So to draw the hemisphere, you draw a little circle like that, and you kind of come up like this. Something like that. Wow, that's horrible. Let's try that again. One more time here. So you actually kind of need to make that a little thinner. There it is. So it has a radius of 2. Great. The volume of a sphere, which is not a hemisphere, is 4/3 pi r cubed. For a hemisphere, it's half of this.
Yeah.
It's half of this. So the way it works out is that 4 ends up going to a 2, and you get this here, 2/3 pi r cubed.
Yeah.
And notice the only thing it depends on is the radius.
Yeah, the radius.
So we know the radius is 2. So for your problem, it's 2/3 pi 2 cubed.
Okay.
And the reason I've been saying it that way, not 2 to the 2/3 or 2/3, is because you literally have to multiply 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Okay, and then you gotta combine it with this fraction here. So it's 16 over 3 times pi. Because the answer is, or because the units were given in meters, your volume is meters cubed.
Okay, so it's always meters when it's given in volume.
Well, it's always cubed when it's given in volume. So a length would be like meters, an area would be meters squared, and then a volume would be meters cubed.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of learning here because there's really only a couple of formulas that are going on here. You have the volume of a cylinder, a cone, and a sphere, and maybe a hemisphere.
Yeah.
So maybe ask your instructor if you need to memorize them, or if they're going to give them to you before the test. That way you know what you need to learn. Okay, we can go back to 7, 8, and 9 on the other page, or we can do some other triangles or something else. Is there something, you tell me, what do you want to do, Remy?
I could do 8 and 9, I guess. Yeah.
You've already done 7?
Well, yeah, we could do 7, 8, 9. I mean, yeah.
Okay, great. So the question 7, 8, 9, it's like this. They're saying, well, we want to use these numbers for a right triangle, but we don't know if they work. And here's how you know if they work. The two smaller numbers are A and B, and then C is the larger number. So if A squared plus B squared equals C squared, we did a bunch of those. If this holds true, then it's a right triangle.
Yeah.
So basically you have to square 10, square 15, square 20. And what you hope is that the left equals the right. It's like you're trying something, your friend tries something, and hopefully you guys get the same thing when you're done.
Mm.
Okay, so what is 10 squared?
10 squared. It's 100.
15 squared?
That's, I don't know the top of my head. 225.
Okay, now add 100 and 225.
Okay. So 325.
Okay, and now tell me what is 20 squared?
20 squared. 400.
Okay, so are these the same?
No.
No, so this is not a right triangle.
Mm.
Okay, so let me give you one that is, so you can see that this actually does work, and I'm not just, giving you something weird. So let's say it's 6 meters, 8 meters, and 10 meters. Okay, so this is A, this is B, and this is C. Is A squared plus B squared equal to C squared? Is 6 squared plus 8 squared equal to 10 squared?
It is.
It is. Help me work through the numbers though. What is 6 squared?
6 squared is 36.
And 8 squared?
72.
Try again.
64.
Okay, and what is 36 plus 64?
That is 100.
Okay, and what is 10 squared?
100. So
Perfect.
it's the same.
So this one is a right triangle.
Yeah.
All right, now I want you to try the next one here. Okay, so the next one is A, B, and C. Go ahead and give that a try there and see what you come up with, please.
Okay. Could you scroll up? Just
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so it's not the same.
That's right. This one doesn't work out very well. Although, if you take, well, okay, actually, I take that back. What is 21 squared?
21 squared is 441.
441. And 28 squared?
748.
Okay, and then 35 squared?
35 squared. 1,000. Wait, yeah, 1,225.
Okay. This one actually does work. So let me try to figure out what's going on here. I agree with that. And 28 squared is 784, not 748. That's just a little change there. So see how
Oh,
these
yeah,
on the
that's what I
left.
did say. Wait, What did I say? No.
So see how the left side does add up to the right side?
Yeah, I don't know why I said no. I literally wrote everything, bro.
I think you just miswrote it down, but when the numbers get this large, it's easy to do.
I
Okay,
wrote all that down. I think I was just rushing because I was taking forever.
no, I mean we got plenty of time here. Let's do one more.
Okay. Yeah, after this
And
one, we could like end it, or I could use the bathroom because I really need to use the bathroom.
let's just end it here. I don't need you to go any longer. Thanks, Remy. I hope I helped you, and I'll
Okay.
send you the notes here shortly. Have a good night.
That was,
Bye.